Hello and welcome, guys, and thank you for tuning in once again to my channel. And I hope you're having a great start for the new year in every aspect, whether it's personal or career. So, in today's topic, we're going to be discussing the subject of listening versus talking in a conversation, and how being a good listener definitely will put you ahead than being a good talker, especially when we're talking about conversation, one to one or more than one, but like conversation, back and forth conversation. So I've been in business for a little bit over 17 years now, and I've owned my own company. It's a home remodeling company that we do a lot of sales in. So we have like a retail store, and at the same time we do construction work, but we have to sell jobs to our clients before we're able to do the construction part. So I've been trying to train and teach people on sales for a little bit over 15 years. And one of the most important things that we teach whenever we're training our sales reps is for them to try and listen more than talk. You always get better results with clients or with anybody that you're communicating with whenever you are listening to what they're saying and then responding. We see it a lot because people who have a lot of information, especially at work, where somebody who's working sales obviously has a lot of information about whatever they're selling. And because of all that information being stored in their head, they feel the urgency or they feel the push to try and give all that information to the people that they're trying to sell or the clients. And in many cases, that doesn't work the way it's supposed to. Meaning that giving people a lot of information without listening to what their questions are or what they want to hear about is not always something that will put you ahead. Most people get bored or lose excitement about the subject that you're discussing if you're continuously talking and talking and talking, even if you're giving real information and you're very knowledgeable and all of that, that doesn't actually give you the upper hand when it comes to communication. In communication, the main thing that you have to know is that you need to be always informative whenever you're asked about something, not just continuously talk and explain and show off your skills in regards to what you know and what you're able to explain. Sometimes all what you have to do is listen and answer. So hear the question or the concern and simply listen to it, be attentive to what the client or the customer is requesting, and then give the information, the necessary information in that scenario that you need to answer that specific question. That way, the conversation becomes more engaging. The client or the person you're talking to feels that they're part of the conversation where they're talking, you're listening, you're answering, and then you can do the same thing the opposite way, meaning that you can be the one who is asking the questions and getting answers from the client or from the person you're sitting with. The conversation has to always involve listening and then talking back. I know this sounds very common sense, and most people listening or watching this video will feel like, yeah, well, we all do that all the time. I mean, that's the ABC or the 101 of any conversation is you listen and you talk. You don't talk over each other. Yeah, that's true. But believe me, I've seen it a lot with people. Some people, they can't hold themselves from spewing or just blasting off all the information that they have in their head right away to the customer without allowing them to ask or have a conversation. And most of the time, this type of technique or this type of behavior will make the client lose interest. And instead of you having a positive effect on them or on the way they see you, they'll end up feeling bored and they just want to leave. And of course, that ends up with you losing the client, losing the sale, and not achieving the main goal that you want, which is getting the client engaged and eventually getting the sale. Now, there's venues and times where having a one-way conversation or having a one-way speech type of a thing is only focused on speaking or talking. And that's in the setting of, for example, doing a podcast like the one I'm doing right now. I don't have anybody to be engaged in listening to, so I'm continuously talking to you guys. Or, for example, being on stage giving a speech or being a teacher in a classroom. These type of settings, definitely that type of communication, you need to be a good speaker or the one who's speaking all the time because you don't have anybody that you're engaging with. But whenever you're in a real conversation, the main part about keeping the other person that you're talking to engaged is to be listening to what they're saying as well. And I might add to that, I would like to add to that it should be an attentive listening. So not only listening, but really paying attention to what they're saying and replying exactly to what they're talking about. And this applies to really everything in your life. It's not only in sales. It applies to business, whether you're in sales like we talked, or whether you're a manager managing people. You have to be a good listener. You can't be just a person who's barking orders at their employees and just expecting them to stay engaged and stay listening to you because you're very charismatic. You have to listen. You have to give people a chance to ask and attentively listen and answer. Even if you're in a position of power or leadership, this quality is still very important. This quality also applies to your personal life, whether it's talking to your significant other, spouse, girlfriend, boyfriend, anybody that you have in your life, or even if you have kids, in talking to your kids, in talking to your parents. In any aspect, having a conversation where you are attentively listening and allowing the other person to share with you their ideas and what they're thinking of and ask you questions will make the conversation overall more engaging for both parties. Add to that, people will enjoy talking to you when you're a good listener. If you're a person who's always talking and not listening, you become a boring person to talk to. People don't really want to listen to your opinion. It becomes a little bit more of like always preaching. Nobody likes to be preached all the time. People want to talk to somebody that they know that they can have a real conversation with. And that only can be done with being an attentive listener and allowing the other person to say what they want to say, and then you listen to what they're saying and you answer. And it goes back and forth the same way. If you have kids and they're a little older at the age of having a conversation, you'll find it very, very important to be able to have that skill. Because at that age, if you have kids that are teenagers like I do, you need to be able to have conversations with them to know about what they're thinking about, how their life is, what are they encountering on a daily basis. And the only way your kids will be able to engage with you in a conversation if they feel that they are being listened to. Same thing with a spouse or a girlfriend, same thing with your parents or your siblings. Everybody that you have in your life, whether it's on a personal level or on a professional level, it's very important to have a conversation that is based on giving and receiving. And the receiving part is important for you to be able to be giving. So listening is in communication is as important, if it's not more important, than actually talking. Now, the reason I keep using the word attentively listening is because whenever you bring attention to anything, that means you're intentionally giving your brain an order to do that. And this is very important in this aspect. The reason why it's important is that once your brain is engaged in this habit, it can turn into something that you don't practice just randomly. So even if you currently don't have that skill, or if you feel that you do have that skill, if you watch yourself in your next conversation with anybody that you're going to have, you're going to be more focused on listening, really listening to what they have to say to test it out. And this will make you listen with attention, meaning that you're listening to everything that they have to say exactly. So to practice this habit or this skill, in my opinion, it's a skill. To practice the skill, the simple thing to do is whenever you have a conversation, today, tomorrow, anytime, just try to really listen to what the other person is saying before you start talking. Once you do that, once you tell your brain to do that, you'll see the difference that you're going to have with the conversation. You'll be more excited and more engaged in your conversation if you apply this skill to any conversation. It's a game changer, really. It will change all your conversations from being something that you do just because you're just being nice to do it, to something that you're doing to learn something from or to engage in something new every time with whoever you're talking to. Whether you walk into the liquor store to buy something like a chocolate bar and you talk to the cashier, that's do it next time you go to like a liquor store or you go to a convenience store and try to buy something and you open a conversation with the cashier. You'll see if you're attentively listening to what they're saying and you're replying accordingly, you'll find it to be way more engaging. You'll start feeling that you're making impact or you're making easier conversation with people just by tuning in into listening to what they have to say instead of you just being focused on saying what you have to say. This applies to, like I said, to multiple things in any aspect. If you're married, if you're single, if you have kids, if you are a manager, a leader of some kind, if you are in sales, of course, in any aspect, this is a very important skill to have. And I promise you, if you improve this skill, all your conversations will feel different, more engaging, more exciting, and people would want to talk to you all the time, every time. This is our subject for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the subject, and I'll try to always, you know, have a mix of different types of subject every time that I record a video. Sometimes it's gonna be a little bit more business advice, sometimes it's spiritual, sometimes it's motivational, sometimes inspirational at some times. So anything that ideas that I think that can be beneficial to your daily life or to your life in general, I'll always try to make short videos about and hopefully you'll enjoy them every time. If you haven't subscribed yet to the channel and you're watching this video, please click on the subscribe button. And if you like this video, please go ahead and push that like button at the same time. And I'll see you next time. Okay.